are the biggest gaming leaks and news you've probably missed this week. So the GOTY nominees are in, and yeah, it's kinda buggers. You've already seen the list flying around everywhere, so I'm not gonna waste your time repeating every name like a school teacher. I just want to point out the stuff that actually matters. Alright, here's the deal. We all know Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is walking away with Game of the Year 2025. That's locked in. Everyone knows it. But the fact that Ghost of Yotei and Split Fiction aren't even up there with the best, that's criminal. Like, straight up embarrassing. Now look, I'm not saying Hollow Knight Silksong is bad or that Donkey Kong whatever Banana Madness is bad. I'm sure for some of you, one of those is your GOTY. Cool. Enjoy. I'm not taking that away from you. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. No matter what gets nominated, and no matter what wins, gamers will be pissed. Guaranteed. It's tradition at this point. And honestly, Split Fiction and Yotei should have been standing right next to the big boys. In my opinion, Split Fiction is a way more enjoyable game than Hollow Knight. Hades 2 is fine, it's a roguelike, it does its thing. But let's be real, most people would have loved to see Battlefield 6 or Arc Raiders up there. Yeah, I know Arc Raiders literally dropped like a week ago, but come on, that game sent a shockwave through the community. The same way Expedition 33 did earlier this year, it deserved a nod at least. And yeah, Hollow Knight broke records, crashed Steam, sold like crazy. But let's be honest, it also sold like crazy because it was $20. $20 today is basically, why not? That's cheaper than a DLC pack, cheaper than some Call of Duty skins. Of course, it was gonna move numbers, same thing with Where Winds Meet. That new NetEase game popped off instantly. 2 million players in the first day. But it's a free-to-play game with heavy marketing and every semi-big YouTuber shilling it. Obviously, it was gonna explode. And look, I don't know if I should even say this, but I might have been approached a couple months ago to promote that game, and I refused, for obvious reasons. I could see the forced hype. I could see the free-to-play model hiding inside a single-player game. I was like, nope, not doing that. I know exactly how those formulas go. It feels like Genshin Impact with a new coat of paint. And now, more and more videos are coming out, calling it out. The open-world grindiness, that Ubisoft feel. And the more you play, the more it nudges you to pay. And I already know the end game is gonna be stuffed with monetization traps that make progression annoying unless you pull out your wallet. It's the classic move. Here's your little sample of a free game, and the real ending shows up a few months later inside a $40 or $50 bundle. We've seen companies run this scam way too many times. Anyway, let's get back to Game of the Year. Alright, so here's the thing people always forget when they look at GOTY nominations. Everyone gets obsessed with the winner. Like, that's the only thing that matters. But honestly, just being nominated is already a massive deal on its own. Because think about it, a nomination instantly puts your game into this tiny group of, yeah, these were the best of the best this year. Even if you don't take home the trophy, you're locked into that conversation forever. Years from now, people won't remember who cried about which game lost, but they will remember that your game was in the GOTY lineup. And it's not even just about bragging rights. A nomination does a lot behind the scenes. It drives sales. It brings in new players who never even heard of your game before. And it gives the devs a huge morale boost. Imagine working 5, 6, 7 years on a game and then waking up one morning to see it sitting next to giants. That's insane. That's something you hang on your studio wall. Plus, for a lot of smaller or mid-sized studios, a nomination changes the entire future of the company. It helps them get bigger budgets for their next project. It helps them hire. It makes publishers trust them. And suddenly, they're in a completely different league. And let's be real, some games that don't win end up with more cultural impact than the actual winner. Look back at past years. Plenty of losers aged better than the so-called winner. Because being nominated is like getting stamped into the industry's history book. The award is just the cherry on top. So yeah, winning is cool, but the nomination itself, that's the part that actually matters long term. It means the game wasn't just good, it was important. And that's the kind of recognition studios dream about. So PlayStation finally dropped the full breakdown for their Black Friday 2000 2025 deals. And yeah, this year, Sony is going big. Like, actually big. If you've been waiting to grab a PS5, a Portal, some accessories, or you're planning to stack up your PS Plus membership, this might be the best time to jump in. Starting November 21st, PlayStation is rolling out deals across basically everything. Consoles, accessories, PSVR 2, PS Plus, merch, the whole thing. And depending on your region, the savings might be even better because some retailers have their own promos on top. Let's start with the hardware. Sony's dropping 2 Fortnite bundles this year. The PS5 Digital Edition bundle goes for $400, and the full PS5 with a terabyte SSD goes for $449. Both come with exclusive Fortnite content and 1,000 V-Bucks. And in a bunch of regions, you can straight up save $100 on a PS5. Same deal for the PS5 Pro. Yep, even that one gets $100 off. That's a first. Accessories also got some solid price cuts. PlayStation VR 2 is $100 off. The PS Portal is $20 off. Pulse Elite headset is $20 off. Pulse Explore earbuds are $30 off. DualSense Edge gets $30 off. Regular DualSense controllers drop $20. Even the Access controller gets a discount. And the games? Some big hitters are included. You've got Death Stranding 2, Astrobot, God of War Ragnarok, and Lost Soul Aside, all showing up in the deals depending on your region. Now, PS Plus is also part of this. If you're joining or renewing, you can save up to 33% on a full year. Members can get cheaper upgrades from Essential and Extra into Premium too. And Premium's looking stronger these days with cloud streaming for select PS5 games, streaming to PS Portal, and access to the Sony Pictures Core catalog with over 100 movies plus during Black Friday. Everybody gets film discounts inside Sony Pictures Core, with even bigger cuts if you're a Plus member. Then you've got PlayStation gear, which is kinda insane this year, 60% off everything. No code needed. Apparel, drinkware, collectibles, Astrobot stuff, Last of Us stuff, God of War stuff, all of it. And finally, the PlayStation Store deals. Hundreds of digital games going up to 75% off for PS5 and PS4. That's basically the entire holiday wish list right there. So yeah, PlayStation's not messing around. This is easily one of the strongest Black Friday lineups they've ever done. Whether you're upgrading your setup or just grabbing a few games, you'll find something in these deals. Black Ops 7 was always going to sell well enough to hit #1 on the UK's physical chart at launch, but it looks like things aren't going quite the way everyone expected. Yeah, the game is sitting at the top spot, but its launch sales are actually smaller than its closest competition, Battlefield 6. That's coming from the game business's Chris Dring, who's pulling data straight from GFK, the people who track UK game sales. And here's where it gets ugly. Black Ops 7's physical launch sales are down 61% compared to last year's Black Ops 6. Physical sales have been trending down for years because everyone's gone digital, sure, but the gap between 2024 and 2025 is not big enough to magically explain that kind of drop. You can't hand-wave that away. Meanwhile, the Steam player count is just as rough. The game peaked at around 86,000 players, while Black Ops 6 peaked at over 300,000. And now, SteamDB's page for Black Ops 7 suddenly doesn't have the usual player charts, almost like Activision quietly removed the data. Very normal behavior. Obviously, even the official Call of Duty account is acting weird. Their early launch tweets usually brag about sales milestones, player numbers, biggest launch ever, all that stuff. This time, nothing. Total silence. When you put it all together, it paints a pretty clear picture. Black Ops 7 is not performing the way a Call of Duty game normally does. Maybe it's the messy campaign, maybe it's the AI art controversy, maybe people are just tired. Whatever the reason, this thing is looking like an underperformer. So this is a big one. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick just said something that kind of sums up the direction the entire gaming industry is heading. According to him, the industry is moving towards PC. And honestly, you can feel that shift everywhere right now. What he means isn't the consoles are dying. Far from it. He says the business is shifting toward open systems instead of closed ecosystems. But at the same time, he believes the core console experience, big screen, big games, long sessions, isn't going anywhere. And he's right. That style of gaming is still unbeatable. But the timing of his comment is wild because we're sitting in the middle of one of the most dramatic transitions the industry has ever seen. Valve is coming back with a brand new Steam machine. Microsoft is basically turning the next Xbox into a PC hybrid. And Sony is sticking with a traditional PS6, but But even then, you can feel them testing the waters with PC more than ever. Zelnick's comments drop right as Valve steps into the living room PC space again. The new Steam machine is basically a small, sleek gaming PC that acts like a console Steam OS, a new Steam controller, a plug-and-play box meant to steal that living room spot from Xbox and maybe even challenge PlayStation. And Microsoft welcomed it. Phil Spencer literally congratulated Valve and said gaming moves forward when players have more ways to play. That's because Microsoft's next Xbox is rumored to be fully open. A real PC that can exit to Windows. You'll be able to play PlayStation games on Steam, older Blizzard titles, Riot games, pretty much the entire PC ecosystem. So yeah, the line between console and PC is disappearing, and Zelnick is very aware of it. But he also repeated something important. Even with all the tech shifts happening, the core console style of game, the giant cinematic blockbuster, is irreplaceable. That's why GTA 6 is still launching on consoles first. He's not pretending otherwise. PC gamers are stressed though, because with the latest delay pushing GTA 6 to November 2026, the PC version might slip even further. We're talking late 2027 or maybe even 2028. And when a reporter asked Zelnick if a PC version is set in stone, he gave the classic Zelnick answer. A whole lot of talking without actually giving a straight yes or no. He basically said Rockstar always does things on their own schedule, and the lack of an announcement doesn't mean anything because at some point, more announcements happen. In other words, nothing is official until it's official. And he pointed toward Rockstar's history. Console first, PC later, always. The modding scene loves them, but Rockstar has always treated PC releases carefully. Delayed ports, strict controls, lots of drama. So expecting GTA 6 to magically break that pattern? Yeah, probably not happening. But all of this ties back to Zelnick's original point. The industry is shifting toward PC, even if GTA isn't leading that charge yet. The future is hybrid systems, open platforms, flexible hardware, and a world where console and PC blend together. And that's the interesting part, because Sony is the last major player sticking to a traditional console path. They believe in dedicated hardware, they believe in the old-school console identity. But the rest of the industry is opening doors in every direction. Steam, Windows, cloud gaming, handheld PCs. The question is, how long can Sony hold the classic console line before the market pushes them into something more open too? If you enjoyed this video, hey, maybe drop a like. It really helps a lot and tells me you want more. Subscribe for day one gaming leaks and news, and check out these videos you probably missed. Trust me, they're worth it.